Hey guys, what's going on? It's Jamie here. I've got a fairly exciting video for you all today. Today is the 19th of September, otherwise known as the day that Apple is releasing iOS 6 to the general public. Now, I've been running the developer preview, or betas they've been calling them, which is probably the technically correct word, for the last few months now. I've gone through, I've been on this on my iPhone 4S since version 1 of the beta, and currently it's running the GM, or Golden Master. However, I think probably just to make sure it's all stable, etc., I will probably update it to the final version that Apple have just released. And it's just gone 6 o'clock now, where I am in the UK. So they have, I think, literally just released it. Anyway, so iOS 6 brings loads and loads of new features. And by the way, if you want to actually upgrade to this in your device, you'll need an iPhone 3GS or higher, an iPod Touch 4 or higher, or an iPad 2 or higher. So unfortunately, people with a third generation iPod Touch or an original iPad, you guys are out of luck on this one. I think Apple just deemed that it didn't run fairly fast on there, and people would get a worse experience running the newer version than what they're currently running, so they decided obviously not to release it. But anyway, I'm running this on my iPhone 4S, which is soon to be replaced come this Friday by Apple's brand new, recently announced iPhone 5. I was lucky enough to get an upgrade on my carrier, which is 3. By the way, they're an excellent carrier in the UK, so if you're in the market for a phone in the UK, definitely switch to them for really, really good 3G coverage. And no, I'm not just marketing them in this video. Anyway, so I've had it running on my phone for the time being, and I've gradually seen they've been improving stuff, particularly maps here, because you may have noticed now Apple Maps is the new replacement for Google Maps. Yes, Apple have done away with Google completely in their new operating system. For example, the YouTube app, well, you may see it there, that's actually Google's YouTube app. Oop, I don't want to go into messages. Go into Google's YouTube app. So that is no longer the iOS aged YouTube app, which is a good thing in some senses. However, the app is still, I feel, a bit limited in some areas, particularly, which really annoys me, is that I can't respond to people's comments on videos. I just have to make a new comment, which is fairly annoying for me anyway. And as well as that, they haven't exactly fixed the issue of, well, the video just plays at a crap quality over 3G. I know video quality normally is something you sacrifice when watching stuff over 3G, but when you have a 6 megabit per second 3G speed, it's not exactly difficult to play 720p video, is it? Especially if you're on an unlimited data plan. Anyway, that's sidetracked a bit. I'm going to do sort of an in-depth look at iOS 6 itself, so let's get started. Now let's begin by taking a look at Apple's Messages app. This is probably one of the apps people use most frequently on iPhone, and the first thing you may notice at the top, while there's not anything new there, is that Apple have now introduced colour changing what would look like a menu bar in the Mac, but status bar in this case. So this can change from app to app. Developers can make it change dependent on what colour their app is, so it sort of blends in with the title bar up here, which is quite a nice minor UI change, so that is a nice welcome change there. Now if we go out of Messages and head into Maps, this is perhaps the most changed app on the phone, given that they've actually gone and made a Maps application themselves. They've done away with Google Maps, which is good in some aspects, but bad in others. For example, I don't think Apple Maps has well, I'd say the same amount of businesses and that listed as Google Maps did. Probably is not as good as in terms of directing you over the best routes. But overall, they've made quite a nice fluid user experience and made it a lot more aesthetically pleasing than Google Maps was, and it just feels a lot more in place anyway. One cool feature as well is if you are in a city, for example London, where I am at the moment, you have 3D maps. So if we hit 3D button, you can see all around. You can go and actually browse maps in 3D, which is really, really cool. You can go and rotate, change the angle at which you're looking at it, and they've done a very good job at this overall. It's from Apple's acquisition of C3 Technologies. They've done this in quite a few cities now. In the UK, I believe it works in London and Birmingham and a few other cities. In the United States anyway, it definitely works in San Francisco, Boston, and I think they've enabled it for New York now and a few other cities. So you'd probably go and check that over on Apple's website anyway, apple.com/iOS, and they have listed all of the features you'll get selected through countries. Obviously, for example, you won't get Siri business listings in countries other than the United States and the UK, I believe, but Apple do plan to roll out features to other countries as and per when they, I suppose, have developed it enough. So anyway, you'll see it sort of just cuts out here, and then you have the normal 3D view, but you have 3D flyover, I believe is what it's technically called there. Please excuse my slow internet connection. Yes, there you go. That's probably the main feature that they've changed. Maps also does have turn-by-turn navigation. So Apple have come slightly late to the table with their version of directions on Maps. Turn-by-turn navigation was in fact included in Google's Android from version 1.6, one of the earlier versions, I believe. But it is nevertheless a nice touch to have it in there. I won't show it on here because turn-by-turn direction is just, I'm sure you've seen it on other platforms, it's not very different as such. Moving on anyway, in iOS 6, Siri has also got some enhancements. For example, who's doing best in the Premier League at the moment?
So far, Chelsea are in first place in Premier League.
So they've added sports functionality as well as that. If we go actually back into Siri again, we can go into information. You can see there they've actually introduced a whole new sports category. It works probably slightly better in the United States. I believe they've only got support for the Premier League in the UK at the moment. Nice feature also is app launching. So for example, I could say open Spotify. And there we go, open Spotify. So it's sort of useful, I'd say, this feature, mainly I suppose if your phone does not have a passcode and you wanted to open apps directly from the lock screen. However, generally, as I've found before, because I did try doing this on iOS 5 with some jailbreak tweaks which add extra functionality to Siri, and I usually found the case that it's more trouble than it's worth going to actually launch apps with Siri, because I could have just gone in and done literally just that. So dependent, some people probably find it easier, so they got loads and loads of folders and they want to find stuff easier, but it, for me anyway, is more trouble than it's worth. Another nice touch is cinemas as well. You can, this works in the UK and the US only, I believe, although you can check on Apple's website so you can just see all of the general stuff that they offer for that. Ooh. And I was apparently trying to ask Siri something when I was talking. Anyway, they got all the normal stuff as well. You've also got some open table stuff. That is US only, I believe. I've tried it in the UK and it hasn't worked. Posting to Facebook and Twitter, that works as well. And that's basically what has happened with Siri. Anyway, moving swiftly on, we have got the new Passbook application, which is not very useful at this stage, given that not many apps actually support it, but at the moment you're just greeted to this screen, so if I actually go into the App Store, not a lot happens. It just takes me to the home screen, I think. Or just a blank screen. Oh well. So that is something that Apple are working on, and well, I'm sure developing companies are working on, and expect to see more from that in the future. One other nice, interesting thing which I won't show you just now is that there is also now Facebook integration, basically the same as Twitter integration in iOS 5, a nice touch, makes things easier to post. Say if you just had a thought and you can't be bothered to open up the Facebook app, or again you wanted to post something from the lock screen, it's a lot easier, and just generally a nice shortcut. A few other things with phone as well. You can You've got the option when someone is calling you to remind you later on to call them back. Again, something very small but a nice touch. And now in Mail as well, you've got this thing called starred inboxes. So you've got VIP. I haven't used that myself. I don't need to use it, so I probably won't end up using that. Again, a nice touch though. And then if we go into Safari, there we go, I've got the American DJ page open. You can use the feature called iCloud Tabs, which will actually, if you want to browse, say go to a site on an iPad, and so you went from your phone, you're browsing the site on your phone, and you want to view it on your iPad, you can easily go over there and you'll see up in the corner the iCloud logo, and you can see what you had open on your iPhone. So you can essentially be viewing a site on your iPhone, sit down on the sofa, decide you want to view it on a slightly larger screen iPad, and just pick up where you left off. It's simple and again quite a nice feature. And furthermore, you've also got the reading list, which is slightly useful. I always seem to forget where this is, so we go into history, reading list, there we go. I don't actually use it myself, I've got some stuff on there, I don't use it, but again, useful for some people, I guess. So that is the new features with Safari. Anyway, there's a few accessibility features. For example, open access just basically restricts you in your own app, which is good. Say if you wanted wanted to use this at a museum, for example, and you just wanted people viewing the one app. So I will see if I can get a demo on that. Accessibility. Guided access, you can just turn it on, set a password and all of that as well. And what you essentially do is just go into the app that you want to use and triple click the home button, guided access, and you can select areas of the screen that you don't want people touching, you can select areas of the screen that you do want people touching, and you've also got extra options here, like for example turning off hardware buttons, touch motion, etc, etc. So fairly easy. I'm not going to go into it myself now though. So that is guided access. Anyway, now a nice feature in camera is, you probably heard of this, didn't want to lock my phone, is actually you can go ahead and do panoramas. So if we go into options, panorama, fairly easy to do this, and I'll get a better focus for you, but slight bug on this anyway, you may notice how much noisier the picture is using the panorama feature than if I go back into the normal camera. I'm sure this will be fixed like in the iPhone 5 or Apple's actual final release of this, but for the time being, slightly interesting. Oh, there's my camera. Anyway, so that's the panorama, pretty self-explanatory. You just tap this. Oop, not to focus actually. You tap the camera button, just keep moving along, and then you just tap that when you're done. And then it saves it as a slightly longer photo. Now, it's obviously best as taking any panorama to keep your phone still. I've had mixed results, so it's mainly just how your mileage will work on that. Anyway, so there we go. We have also got a few other small features. You may have already seen this. Brand new iTunes Store look as well, a lot nicer, sort of gone with the Tweetbot style there. I like it. A few people have been complaining about it, but I just think it's a general nice update to what was a much needed redo with the stores anyway, even though it doesn't seem to be working properly at the moment. Anyway, finally, I believe there are quite a few new features with working with the phone in China anyway, with better character identification, more of their own social networking options, so a few features there which are very useful. But anyway, that's the main new features with iOS 6, and I think you'll also notice in addition to that some nice speed improvements over iOS 5 and slightly better battery usage, which is much needed on the iPhone 4S anyway. Don't know how it will be on the 5, because obviously I haven't got mine yet, but that is essentially what iOS 6 is like. Not a massive update, like going from iOS 3 to iOS 4. However, again, very nice touch. And the maps, it's okay for me. I wouldn't say it is about on par with Google Maps at the moment. But turn-by-turn directions, especially, it just makes it a lot nicer to use, and was actually much needed. So that is anyway a quick look at iOS 6. One final thing to note is that beware from iOS 6, the YouTube app is lacking. You need to download YouTube from the App Store. Google have made a dedicated app. It's lots nicer than the previous one in iOS 5, so I would highly recommend you go and download that. So anyway, thank you very much for watching, and please don't forget to come back to the channel on Friday to check out my look at the iPhone 5. I'm getting it Friday at 9 o'clock in the morning, so hopefully I will have that by time in the afternoon so I can shoot a video on it. Anyway, this is a nice look at iOS 6. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.